Things are heating up on Great British Menu. This week, 3 of Northern Ireland's finest chefs, Chris Fearn, Chris Bell and Brian McCann, are battling for the chance to cook dishes that will bring people together at the ultimate street party. Yesterday's programme was a fight for the fish course and saw risk-taker Chris Fearn fall from grace.
Serving it in a sardine tin. Maybe that was a bit of humour too far.
While his former boss Brian clawed back vital points.
I am back in the game, neck and neck with Chris Fearn, and there's all to play for.
Former champion Richard Corrigan scoring them all week, and so far it's too close to call.
There is 1 point separating Chris Bell from the rest of the chefs. This is absolutely nail-biting stuff.
Today it's the main course, and the 3 dishes vying for a place at the People's Banquet are rolled suckling pig, crown of lamb and suckling pig platter.
I'm definitely gunning for it. The other 2 guys better get a wiggle on.
This year's challenge is a tough one. Each chef has been seeking out the real heart of their local community, meeting amazing individuals who unite their neighbourhoods through food.
How important was the food?
The food was definitely what gathered people around the table and started conversation.
Talking point.
Yeah.
Inspired by what they find, they then have to come up with irresistible platters that could be passed around guests at the People's Banquet and would really get them talking.
The brief being what it is this year, sharing food and all, it was a tough one to get my head around, and it's a lot different what I'm used to doing in the restaurant.
But first, they must impress a man who knows just how much getting to the final means to them. Former champion Richard Corrigan.
The halfway stage in the Great British Menu is really nervous. They all want to win this competition. They all want to win this course.
In first place by just 1 point is a determined Chris Bell, the only one of today's chefs to have won a Michelin star. He's desperate to triumph in this course and get to the judging chamber on Friday.
I came here to get to the judges to potentially get a dish on this banquet, and to go out at the first hurdle would just be, you know, it would be unthinkable. How are we doing?
Very well, thank you. What are you cooking today?
Pork and apples. Suckling pig, boned and rolled. Going to simply roast it and finish it with heather honey and Pommery mustard. Going to make hash browns and stuff them with some Clonakilty black pudding and a bit of sage.
Apples.
Going to stew the apples, make a puree and do a little savoury crumble on top.
Is there a spectacle in this dish? I mean, suckling pig to me is whole pig on a tray out to the customer.
See, for me,
Where's the head?
Well, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. You know, if you're going to potentially cook this for 100 people, maybe 20, 30 of those people are going to be turned off by the head. I'm going to serve it on a big block with a fork, large knife and a little basket of hash browns to pass around the table. So somebody's going to have to get up and almost be the chef and carve this for the table.
So Chris Bell's planning a chefy twist on a traditional roast. But is his rolled suckling pig, black pudding, hash browns and savoury apple crumble a tad too safe to impress Richard?
Meat cooked on the bone always tastes fantastic. This one is off the bone rolled. Is it going to taste like Sunday lunch? I really hope it doesn't, for his sake.
Next up, in joint second place, it's Brian McCann, a classically trained chef who believes in honest food cooked simply. He lost out last year and is back with a vengeance. And after a bad start, turned things around with an impressive 8 for his fish dish.
I'm so excited to get another chance at this. I really fell behind on the starter, pulled it back on the fish, and this is a great opportunity to really get into this because I want to get to the judges' table and I want to get to the final.
Brian, come on, talk to me about your dish.
Okay.
What have we here?
Lamb, I'm going to tie it, bring it into a crown, so it's really retro, but it's got the visual effect. Brought out, some plushes of watercress coming out, crispy potato, bit of gravy, and a nice stew of vegetables. Simple, big flavours, delicious.
Do you think this is a big occasion dish, a people's dish?
A crown of lamb. It used to be served for royalty, carved at the table. I think it's fitting, but it's not pompous. It's enjoyable, it's got a bit of theatre and the big flavours. I would love to see this in the final banquet.
So Brian thinks his classic crown of lamb with potatoes, asparagus, peas and morels is fit for a king. But will Richard think it's right for the People's Banquet?
Has it a real wow factor? Has he got the brief completely wrong? I hope he hasn't.
Finally, sharing second place with 12 points, it's underdog Chris Fern, a brasserie-style chef taking a gamble with a humorous menu. He went from hero to zero with his fish course yesterday and hopes Richard will see the funny side today.
It's ideal for sharing this dish. It's, you know, it's fun. There's lots of interaction involved. There's lots of eating with your hands. I've got high hopes for this course if I execute it properly, you know. I don't want any more fours.
Chris Burns, good morning. You had a tough end of day yesterday.
Yeah, soul destroying.
I love the humour in your first dish.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it in the second one.
Okay.
Are you going to pull it out of the bag today, or out of the box, yeah?
Well, I hope so. I'm calling it my fancy dress piggy.
Your fancy dress piggy?
Yeah. Because I thought, you know, big banquet, you get your best gear on you, don't you? So I just wanted to do a nice fancy dress piggy on a big board. This will be suckling pig rack. A wee skin here for crackling. Got some nice ribs here. Got a nice belly here. I'm gonna braise that down, shred it down, layer it up with some nice Grace Hill black pudding here from the north. There's a wee tart there, some celeriac, a bit of apple.
And the sauce?
There's no sauce. There's moisture in the celeriac puree with the tart.
So you've thought about this dish very, very carefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what? We tried it with gravy and just didn't think it needed it, so I just left it out.
Chris Fern is taking another risk with his meat feast of suckling pig platter. But has he taken his gimmicky theme too far?
Is it all just too much meat, not enough garnish? Where's the sauce? Where's the contrast?
With just 1 point separating them and the lowest scoring chef leaving the competition tomorrow, the pressure's on, especially for Chris Fern.
So lads, how do you feel today? Nervous?
Pretty nervous. I really messed up that fish course and I feel bad about it, you know.
He's chancing his luck again and can only hope it pays off today, unlike award-winning rival Chris Bell, who's oozing confidence.
I'm quite happy with the dish. I think pork and apples, it's hard to whack like.
He thinks he's got this course nailed, but Richard will be judging their dishes on more than just taste and execution.
It's about sharing, feast for the eyes, spectacle. Which of these chefs is going to pull it out of the bag?
Both Chris's have opted for suckling pig. Chris Bell off the bone and Chris Fern on the bone, giving Richard plenty of room for comparison. But confident Chris Bell isn't fazed by his competition.
It doesn't scare me, you know. I've said it all along. Concentrate on what I'm doing and hope everything falls into place.
He thinks brasserie chef Chris Fern may have bitten off more than he can chew and can't resist a dig at his less experienced rival.
You done the salmon yesterday. You said yourself you were disappointed with the way it turned out.
Screwed it up, eh?
I mean, there was a load of elements on there. There's double the elements on this. Does it concern you?
Just a bit, yeah.
And he's just as quick to rubbish Brian's simple lamb dish.
Crown of lamb, Brian. Probably 1976. There's not enough fat on it, really, is there? You can't seal it off, you know.
No,
you gotta...
no. There's dangers. It has to be bang on, or there'll be consequences.
Brian's competed on Great British Menu before. He knows any slip-up could cost him dearly and is concentrating his efforts on getting his classic roast bang on. Ambitious first-timer Chris Fern is busy preparing black pudding fritters, just one of 5 meaty elements in his bold but potentially risky take on suckling pig.
This is a lot of meat, a lot of spectacle, but very little garnish and no sauce.
I love my gravy, you know, and I honestly think I didn't think it needed it. That might be my downfall later on. I'll let you be the judge of that.
He's a brave man not to heed those words of warning, as it's Richard who has the power to throw him out of the competition early.
Asking Chris Fern about his sauce got very defensive. My meat doesn't need sauce. Well, I'd like to disagree with him. I love my gravy.
Chris Bell, on the other hand, is playing it safe, serving gravy and 3 vegetable dishes with his suckling pig. But while this could work in his favour, his decision to cook his pork rolled and off the bone is a risky one.
It's very lean, the suckling pig, not very old. Not enough fat in it to allow a bit of overcooking, you know, so it has to be precise, bang on.
I hope for Chris Bell's sake that he just doesn't overcook that suckling pig. There's always a great danger of it being dry, insipid and boring.
Having botched his ham starter earlier in the week, Brian's all too aware he can't afford any schoolboy errors with his meat today.
You weren't tempted to take off some more of that sinew in the back?
I took all the fat off,
Did
but
you?
not the sinew.
Why not some of the sinew?
Well, I find it. I didn't think I needed to take it off.
No, it won't make it tough at all?
No.
You've done this before?
Yeah, a few times.
One great worry with Brian, I mean, he overcooked his ham. This is basic, fundamental cooking. I really hope that he's found his confidence to pull this off.
This year, for the first time ever, our chefs have been challenged to cook for a people's banquet. The feast will celebrate Britain's unsung heroes who work tirelessly bringing their communities together through food. Brian paid a visit to his old neighbourhood in Belfast to meet a woman who last year organised a street party of her own. He wanted to find out the secret of her success.
Hi, Jeanette. Brian. Pleased to meet
Hi,
you.
Brian. Yes, you too.
Hi, Kim. So I hear you were the hostess or the mostess here.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but we had a street party.
Jeanette was delighted when nearly every household on the street turned out on the day.
Here we all are.
Look at all those people. How important was the food?
The food was definitely what gathered people around the table and started conversation.
Talking point.
Yeah, totally.
Look at those beautiful buns.
Are those good?
Did you eat those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not all of them.
Not all of them.
And it's food that's bringing the residents of Shaw Street back together tonight.
Come in, come in, come in.
They struck up friendships at the street party that have grown stronger ever since.
I knew the people at this end of the street, but not the ones at the other end. So it was a good opportunity to get to know everyone.
It's good to have good neighbours.
It's the perfect place for Brian to road test his lamb and potato bake.
Did you enjoy that?
It's lovely. The potatoes are delicious and the lamb's lovely and tender.
It was gorgeous, yeah. Very tasty.
Definitely a 9 or a 10.
And Brian has an extra incentive to aim for a high score from Richard too. If he goes through to the People's Banquet, he'll be taking Jeanette with him as his guest of honour.
Really impressive what you've done to the community. It's been really inspiring. And hopefully we can get a winning dish on the banquet and we can bring you over to it and we can have a bit of crack.
Brilliant. Yeah,
How's
looking
that?
forward to it.
Good.
No pressure.
No pressure. See you later.
Thanks
Thank you.
now. Take
Okay.
care. Bye.
We've just met an absolutely amazing bunch of people there and one person started it and there's a great sense of community. It's great to see this in Belfast.
3 chefs are engaged in a battle over the main course. Chris Bell's looking to wipe out his competition with a chefy twist on a roast, rolled suckling pig with all the trimmings. Brian McCann is hedging his bets with a simple crown of lamb, a less is more strategy that paid off in yesterday's programme. And risk-taker Chris Fern's hoping today's wild card, his extremely meaty, elaborate pork-themed platter, will go down a storm with former champion Richard Corrigan.
The main course is really important. All the chefs want to win it. But I could not pick a winner in there at this moment in time.
Brian was brutally knocked out of the competition by Richard last year. But second time round, he thinks he knows what he's looking for.
I think it's going to be the simplest, most quirkiest thing that's going to win this and everybody's going to say after, why didn't I think of that?
He's hoping his old school crown of lamb will be his redemption. Across the kitchen, confident Chris Bell's counting on his award-winning technical skill.
Are you a bit nervous, Chris, on this dish?
No, I like this dish. Yeah. I think the dish is good enough. So can I cook it well enough, you know?
Chris is making black pudding hash browns to go with his rolled suckling pig. A simple twist on a classic, which he thinks is better suited to the People's Banquet than Chris Fern's quirky piggy platter.
Were you tempted to do something else with the pork?
You know, did I think just make apple sauce and serve it in a sauce pot? But, you know, this is a celebration. You know, apple sauce is not good enough, you know, so a little crumble, another little bit of texture. Not too gimmicky, I don't think. I hate gimmicks, you know, I hate stuff there for no reason, you know. You know, whether it looks good or not. If the dish doesn't need it, don't put it on it.